Come on in, sit right down. Keep your hands up, keep your chin down. Shut the door, time to go with Randy Harris and Knockout Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Knockout Radio with Randy Harris is about to start. So get ready for the best MMA talk, games, interviews, prizes, and surprises anywhere for Knockout Radio. I'm the voice, Ray Flores, and you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Ray Flores MMA, or facebook.com/Ray Flores MMA. And now, here's Knockout Radio.
Hey-o. Hey, everybody.
What is going on, everybody? It is a Wednesday, Knockout Radio on the air. A lot of things to get to, a lot of things to talk about, some controversy. A great show planned. I got a couple pretty cool interviews. First and foremost, coming up in about 10 minutes, the victorious Mark Munoz. Are you alive over there, or are you dead?
Okay, so I'll talk. Yeah, good to have him on.
Were you watching soccer, or you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Had a rough day. After Mark Munoz, we have a big announcement coming at the bottom of the hour. Knockout Radio is getting involved with a world championship athletic endeavor. And I'm going to try to hold it off for about 20 minutes before we make the big announcement. But a 15-time world champion will be on the program at 6:30 to discuss what he is doing, and we will talk about what we are doing on August 24th. Also going to get the event director, the event coordinator from the UFC Fan Expo. We'll do a little recap on the expo. And for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, they did a Super Bowl NFL Radio Row type of thing, which was phenomenal. I don't know if you guys saw much about it.
Please explain to listeners out there what Radio Row, in quotations, at the Super Bowl is and what it's like.
I got to be careful with those air quotes because I did them once to Dana, and I don't want to do air quotes. At the Super Bowl, it's one great big room of radio stations from all across the country and all across the world, and they're all there like in a convention center broadcasting. And what's cool about that is all the guests come there, all the movie stars come there, all the NFL players come there, all the rock stars come there. They all come there to push whatever they're pushing or to talk whatever they want to talk about. So it just increases the shows really for everybody. So at the last minute, everybody knows if they follow us on Twitter at Knockout Radio or through MMAweekly.com, we were going to broadcast from the Tito Ortiz punishment booth. When the day before I was approached and said, we'd really rather you do it from our Radio Row. By being at Radio Row, if you didn't listen to the show, and Alex, let me apologize. I know you didn't get to talk much on Friday.
No worries.
On the day show, as we had Chuck Liddell on, we had Bruce Buffer on.
Plenty more interesting people than I.
Forrest Griffin on. Had some fun with Forrest. Forrest said he wanted Chris Weidman to be knocked out within like 10 seconds.
Well, that didn't happen.
Well, he wanted it, he said, so that maybe my highlight reel won't be shown as much as that highlight reel. And we're going to talk about that entire fight in a minute. I'm just trying to lay out the groundwork. Cub Swanson will be on tonight, as he would like the fans to get behind and tweet Dana as he would like the next title shot.
Great fight.
It was a good fight.
That was a great fight.
And again, a class guy at the end. He could have thrown more punches, and he stood there like, are you going to stop this thing or what? And so he did save a little bit of damage. Seth Petruzelli, I believe this will be his first public conversation since his retirement announcement. I saw him at the MMA show, not the Fan Expo, but the MMA show, and he said that he's been getting phone calls and blah, 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 blah. He'll do our show first later on today. And then Josh Samman. How pumped are you guys? I know I am.
Yes, I am.
This is the fight we all wanted.
Yeah, we talked about
the
that
people's main
week.
event.
Yeah, the what we were supposed to see, what everybody thought we were going to be seeing at the end of the last tough. And
I know I tweeted this in the words of our good friend Russell Peters. Somebody's going to get hurt real bad.
That's a true statement.
So looking forward to that. All right, first and foremost, Saturday night, UFC 161. I thought started a little sluggish. Good fights, but you know the excitement wasn't in the air. The arena wasn't full, which kind of pissed me off. Then the prelim show, and let's just get right to the main card, and let's get right to the main event. I was embarrassed. I was pissed. I didn't enjoy it until the outcome. I was upset. Now, Dana made the comment at the press conference about we're only upset because he lost. Incorrect. I was upset when he did that against Damian Maya. I was upset when he did it against Forrest Griffin. The showboating, go in there and fight. Go in there and take care of your business. Instead, business got taken care of you, and now you are knocked out.
And when it comes down to it, I really feel that it was 100% disrespectful. Game plan or not, that's not something that should be done in the octagon, in the cage, in the ring, on the field, on the court, whatever. Something like that is incredibly disrespectful. He was showing his ass, and I think he got what he deserved when it comes down to it.
And I do want to clear one thing up, and we're also going to get into the pound for pound. I struggled with it for almost 2 days as to what to do, where to put, who to put, and we'll discuss that. I know that on MMA Weekly right now, the great one, George St. Pierre, says that Anderson Silva still is the best of all time. And he is. Because he lost last Saturday night doesn't change the GOAT statement, the GOAT comment.
Right.
He is the greatest of all time. Babe Ruth is the greatest home run hitter of all time. He's dead. He's not hitting any more home runs. That doesn't change anything. It may change down the road, but from what happened Saturday night doesn't change that he is the greatest of all time.
True, it was just that particular instance. That does not make or break his career or his legacy. It doesn't affect his legacy either, I don't think.
I agree.
Another loss the same way, does that affect the legacy?
I don't think so, because I still stay, the legacy is the body of work. The legacy is what he did for those 7 years. The legacy is, I know that we've argued about this before, about guys that have stayed around too long in any sport. It doesn't just have to be mixed martial arts. They were great, and then towards the end of their career, they've suffered some losses. I don't think that necessarily changes it. You'll know and you'll remember and you'll do whatever, but he's still the greatest of all time.
Sure. But I think at least for the moment on the pound for pound list, yeah, the immediate now John Bones Jones takes the top spot.
Well, he has had the top spot.
For you.
For me.
For you.
Right. And everybody else's, it's kind of like back in the day. I don't remember what year it was. There was one guy in Alabama who was always ranking Alabama as the number one football team in the country and got ripped and got blasted and got whatever. And at the end of the year, Alabama won the national title. So he kind of looked like a genius. Some people have had John Jones, the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, in a while. Here's where my dilemma is. I don't believe Anderson Silva losing that fight. I still believe he is one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But I have a hard time putting Anderson Silva ahead of the guy who just beat him.
Whoa. Where is Weidman on the pound for pound list?
On mine or on anybody else's?
On yours.
I have Chris Weidman at number 2.
Pound for pound.
Number 2, pound for pound. Because if I'm going to put Anderson Silva still at the top of the pound for pound list, which he is, how do I put the guy who just knocked him out behind him? I just don't comprehend that. I don't comprehend how other people have Anderson at 2 or have Anderson at 3 and have Chris Weidman at 7 or 8. He just beat, on most people's lists, the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world.
Right.
How do you still rank him ahead of the guy that just knocked him out? I don't care if he fought like an ass or if he whatever. Chris Weidman beat him. Also, let's keep in mind, Chris Weidman is undefeated. I believe he's only the 3rd UFC fighter to win the title unblemished.
He is 10-0. He has 10 fights in his pro career.
I just couldn't put Anderson Silva at 5 or 6. I couldn't do it because Anderson Silva is one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world. So there was my dilemma. And I just couldn't put, and I know everybody else did. I know, Sean, you have an explanation, and if you turned your mic on, you might want to give it.
Well, I'm looking, and the example that I use with you is the college football rankings. Number 1 loses to so-and-so. It just happens. They're still going to be ranked ahead of them. So I pulled it up. Alabama lost to Texas A&M. Alabama was the number 1 team in the nation. Texas A&M was ranked 15th. When the rankings came out the next week, Alabama 4, they dropped 3 spots. Texas A&M jumped to 8.
Okay.
So, still thinking yours, you can keep Anderson ahead of Chris Weidman even after Weidman beats him.
You can.
It's
Alex
justified.
can. Derek can. Obviously, everybody else on the poll can. I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it.
You still think that the body of work, which is the pound-for-pound list of Chris Weidman, is better than those 7 other people?
I cannot justify in the little peanut of a brain that I have.
So take Anderson off then and put Weidman 10.
And again, that's my problem. My problem was it's one or the other. It can't be both. And Anderson Silva is not the 10th pound best fighter in the world.
It looks on the UFC.com is all the champions are on there. All but one, maybe.
Right.
So take them off. Maybe the champ isn't a pound-for-pound best fighter. Dominic Cruz hasn't fought in, a year and a half.
Well, I don't have Dominic Cruz
but I'm just saying there's people on there that don't fit that. But I still think that Anderson should be at least 3.
Okay, so again, I'm just saying me, I have a problem listing the guy who just knocked him out behind him.
Okay.
This isn't, college football. It isn't fantasy football.
But that's how the rankings
work.
Right,
I understand that.
That's how it works.
No, I understand that.
You have to do a whole lot more to get to that level. One win shouldn't jump you all the way up to the top. You should get some bonus points for that. Yeah, I'll jump up 4 spots now. How you won, you'll jump up a little bit more. He should jump up more than if he would have just grinded out a decision like Chael was going for in the first fight.
You would have moved him up more if he would have won that way?
No. You move him up more with a knockout
than
you move with grinding out a decision.
All right. Well, again, it's something that I struggled with for 2 days. I believed in it. It's not like I just did it because I know I'm going to get ripped on a regular basis. I believe in it. I believe that I couldn't put him behind him. And that's how we're going to play it out. So we're going to talk a lot about that fight. We're going to talk a lot about everything that happened over the weekend, starting with, he was our guest last week, Victorious, and again, a guest with us this week, Mark Munoz. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Well, we appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on. Talk about, the feeling right now, what we're 4 days, since the fight.
Still feels good. All the hard work and all the preparation leading up to the fight just makes it all worth it. I trained really hard for that fight, and I'm just glad everything worked out the way it did.
You talked in great detail at the press conference about what it took to get back up on that stage and what it took to get back in the octagon on Saturday. And the thing that kept hitting me throughout the fight and then after the fight, was it a victory for you just to get back to that level, or did you need to win that fight Saturday, to feel like I'm back?
I see it as 2 victories. One is making it there and being in shape the way I was in shape, and 2, actually winning the fight. So it was a victory in itself for me to get to where I was at, make weight, and be in the best shape of my life. And then the second victory was obviously winning the fight the way I did. So, it was just a win-win situation for me.
You said during the post-fight presser that your hand was hurting you a little bit from hitting Boach so many times so hard. How is the hand doing? What's the update on that?
I saw the doctor yesterday, and it's just a sprain, so which is great news. He said it should be feeling better in about another week. And then if not, then we'll X-ray, we'll get an MRI, see what's really going on with it. But as of right now, there's no broken bones.
I got a kick out of the press conference, Mark, when Anderson, at the time, which he has, I guess, allegedly changed his opinion, at the time he wasn't interested in a rematch, and it didn't take you long to stick your hand up and say, you'll take it. Yeah,
I know I can beat Chris Weidman. when I fought him, I wasn't 100%, and my foot was broken. Didn't even know it was broken, and a lot of my weight was on my front foot, and he was able to take me down with ease. So, that wasn't really me in that fight, and had the real Mark Munoz showed up, it would have been a different story.
Can you do us a favor and talk about not necessarily the dark place that you were in, but there is a lot of us that are in that, that go through depression, and then we're in that spot and they're in that spot. How did you get out of it? What would you tell people that are sitting there saying, I can feel what Mark was going through, but I don't know how to get out?
Yeah. It was something that I kind of just subtly slipped in to, and I didn't think I was going through anything, but when I would see like a fast food restaurant or like my favorite fast food like In-N-Out, whenever I see, I just stop and get a double. I'm like, hey man, I don't have to make weight anytime soon, so I'm just gonna eat, and I'd go home and just snack on something because I needed to do something, and that's just how it was for me, and I know a lot of people they go to the kitchen and kind of look in the fridge to see what they can eat, and they eat something and they go back and they do it again. I mean, that's how it was, and I didn't think it was anything abnormal. I thought it was just normal that I was doing that, but then it got to the point where like I was real apathetic towards like having a diet or watching my weight, and I just didn't care. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna eat, man. Who cares? I don't have a fight coming up, and it got so bad that I ballooned up to 261, and I couldn't believe it. So when I saw that, I really thought to myself, wow, this is a problem, and called up my trainer, and I said, hey, I need to come train. I need to do something. I know my foot's broken, but my elbow's still bad, but I need to do something, man. I'm at my biggest right now, and I need to start shedding this weight. So we just put a structure in a plan of action. He planned it out, and he told me you need to be disciplined to come in every day, and that's what I did. It took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of diligence to be able to do what he had me doing, and I just had to do something, and rather than being home and just being sad about where I was in my current condition, I got out the house and I just started exercising, started sweating, started doing things, and I started feeling better, and I guess the endorphins in my body started to regulate normal now, when before that I was just sitting stale and not doing anything. So it's a process. It's definitely a process, and you gotta be able to plan your day and make yourself busy. You gotta be able to do the things that you think that's going to benefit you. And I knew that I had to get out of the house and exercise. I knew I had to do that and start shedding the weight and get on a diet regimen and exercise regimen. I had to do that, and that's what I did. It was a slow process. It was in the beginning, and I was discouraged a lot of times and frustrated that the weight wasn't coming off. But as I started coming every day, and I get on the scale, and results started to happen. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, now I'm on my way. But it was a long time. It took about 2 months to finally see some results, and after that, the weight started coming off.
How soon, Mark, would you like to get back in? When would you like, in a perfect world, your next fight to be?
As soon as possible. I'd like to get. I still want to get closer to the title. I've been there a few times and came up short, and I want to be able to fight for a title. I got in the UFC because I want to be the best in my division in the UFC. That's one of my goals, and I want to be able to achieve that goal. So whatever fight that gets me closer. You know, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. I mean, the best possible matchups would be either Michael Bisping or I don't know, like a Vitor Belfort. You know, either one of those I know will get me closer to a world title. You know, I mean, maybe that's a number one contender fight. I don't know. Who knows? So, you know, we'll see. It'd be a complete honor to fight both those guys, and you know, I think I can beat them both.
Well, as we've learned, hit up Twitter because Dana responds to a lot of the tweets and a lot of the fans. Before we let you go, talk about, we talked about it last week. You were auctioning off your gloves and your shorts to raise money for wrestling, as well as the T-shirt sales for the wrestling there in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. My walkout kit, what I walked out in with my hat, my Keep Olympic Wrestling hat and my Keep Olympic Wrestling shirt, my shorts, what I'm doing is I'm auctioning that off. Also, I'm selling shirts and hats as well, and 100% of the proceeds is going to go to a school in Moore, Oklahoma that was devastated by the tornadoes. So at the same time, we're benefiting that wrestling club, and at the same time, we're creating awareness for Keep Olympic Wrestling. So the reason why I said Keep Olympic Wrestling is because in 2020, the IOC decided to ban Olympic wrestling, and so now what we're trying to do, we're trying to reinstate it into the Olympic Games. And if anybody can go to a website, which is keepolympicwrestling.com, vote on there and whoever you can to be able to support the cause, that'd be great.
Well, Mark, again, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations. I thoroughly enjoyed the fight, and I know that we're going to get you back on very, very soon, and hopefully they'll announce your upcoming fight soon as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Randy.
Take care. That is Mark Munoz. If you'd want to pick up the phone, 855-483-6646.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
All right. So
business just picked up.
Yeah.
As the good old Jim Ross would say. I was listening in traffic.
Well, welcome.
I have to tell you, Randy.
Great to have you.
Yes, sir.
Your pound-for-pound ranking is totally effed.
Well, yeah, and I expected you to say that.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, and we talked about,
And you know how I love pound-for-pound rankings.
I know how to get them fired up. I know.
When you're wrong, boy, are you wrong.
You know,
I mean, miss all the way, right?
I just couldn't justify it.
Guy lands one punch, jack him up to 2.
Hey, he beat
pound for pound.
He beat the number one guy in the world.
No, Anderson beat Anderson.
No, hold on a second. Hold on.
To paraphrase the great Vince McMahon,
he beat the number 2 guy in the world. I'm sorry.
To paraphrase the great Vince McMahon when the Montreal screw job went on, and he said Brett screwed Brett. Anderson beat Anderson. That's all. Tell me you're not taking Anderson Silva in a rematch or a rematch. You line up that fight 100 more times, and I'm taking Anderson Silva. 100. And for anyone to say
I'm excited for it.
This was my favorite. Was all the people saying, we picked Weidman. I picked Weidman. I knew Weidman could beat him. That's how you thought Weidman would win?
Everybody was saying
like if it was Weidman,
right.
if it was take him down, control him, he's going to take him deep.
Sure.
Weidman landed a punch when Anderson was clowning. And that's what happened. Anderson beat Anderson that fight. Weidman didn't do
well.
Weidman took him down. Anderson got to his feet, attempted another takedown, threw him aside,
got stuffed.
You know, and for you, and I heard you guys talking like it was disrespectful. He does. He does
do that. No, I understand that.
This is Anderson, and tell me
it's disrespectful then too.
It was, and that's what I was trying to say to you.
Tell me, Forrest Griffin knockout wasn't unbelievable. You think that was disrespectful?
Yeah.
What he did to Forrest Griffin?
Yeah, what he did was disrespectful, absolutely. It was still a tremendous knockout.
And it was very entertaining.
He moved up to 205 to take on a former champion, and he made him look like an amateur.
I understand
What's he
that.
supposed to do, stand and slug?
No, I understand that, but the clown thing bothered me. It bothered me then. It bothers me every time he did. Playing the freaking air guitar when he fought Damian Maia is disrespectful.
Couldn't you say it's disrespectful for Damian Maia not to be sitting on his ass the whole fight?
Oh, absolutely. Damian Maia was a joke in that fight, and I said that.
I'll say this. I mean,
kids, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Anderson beat Anderson in that fight. That's all. I laughed at a lot of the people afterwards. That's what you get, this and that, and that's what he does. That's what he's done when he hasn't felt challenged by his opponent.
So you think he didn't feel challenged by Weidman?
Not at all.
He didn't take it serious.
No.
He didn't any of that, really.
No,
okay.
I don't think so.
All right. No, I mean,
I really.
That's fine.
You didn't see that stuff against Vitor,
and you didn't see it against Chael.
You didn't see it against Chael. I think I never thought from the jump this fight had his attention. And that's why it took so long to get this fight even on the table.
Well, if I recall, let's go back in time. He said from the very beginning that he wasn't interested in this fight, that Chris Weidman didn't excite him and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at, first and foremost, and I like what you said.
And I think it took a 10-year deal for him to get in the ring for this fight, by the way.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I think.
Well, I'm saying I don't know. I think he would have fought whoever. And I don't think he necessarily needed the 10-year deal. And even though, and it's in one of my notes to talk about, I'm so sick and tired of fans clamming and yelling and screaming about pay. First of all, in my opinion, stop it. It's none of your business what people are getting paid. And 2, we don't know what they're getting paid. All we know is what is submitted to the Nevada Athletic Commission. They're getting. If you really believe that Chris Weidman left Las Vegas with $48,000,
right.
You're nuts.
Not only that, here's the thing. Let's say he did,
and it's still nobody's business.
Let's say he left with a check for $48,000 from Zuffa. The money he made with that knockout. Can we tie in any kind of future endorsements? Can we tie in future to that fight?
Certainly.
And ultimately, here's what I will always say to any moron who opens their mouth about fighter pay: go fight somewhere else. Go fight somewhere else. Go ahead. Go do it. Go get a better paycheck somewhere else. Find it. Where are you going to find it fighting? I got news for these guys. You're not scientists. You're not saving the world here. You're fighters. You're fighters. You're probably not the smartest guys in the world. Can I say that? I mean, I feel comfortable about that.
Some.
They're not going to be rocket scientists. It's go find elsewhere. Go find money elsewhere. I say that about NBA guys. I say that about NFL guys when they complain about pay. Go find another job that's going to pay you $48,000 for a night of work. Find it.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I'm tired. I know there's lists and it shows and this, that, the other. I don't care what these guys make, but I'm pretty much confident that Chris Weidman left there with more than a check for $48,000. 24 show, 24 win. He walked away with, well, he also got the knockout bonus too. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying above that as well.
Right.
I've been in a locker room when probably the biggest knockout in the history of the UFC, and I know that there was checks handed.
Yeah.
No bonuses, just, hey, you did an outstanding job. I'm proud of you.
Privately owned company
can do what they want.
Can do what they want. And to hear the morons call out fixed afterwards.
Yeah, that was right away.
Unbelievable.
We went to our favorite pizza place, Torta Pizza, and the owner's there, big in MMA, does jiu-jitsu, was confident it was a fix. I'm like, how does that help Anderson Silva to fix a fight? Because now he has a fight in December. He's going to have a fight in December, win or lose. It doesn't matter.
And possibly a super fight that would have made more money than a rematch with Weidman.
Do you believe, because we were discussing this earlier before we went on the air, Anderson Silva losing really affects a super fight? Just think about it.
I'm paying no matter what.
Exactly.
I think it affects the promotion of the fight.
And we're going to, well, it does and it doesn't, especially if most people, including me, still have Anderson Silva ranked in the top 2 or 3. It really doesn't matter whether you're 47-2 or 50-0, but maybe a victory matters to our next guest. He is a 15-time world champion. And I've kind of teased this a few times because Knockout Radio is getting involved in this sport. The next event is in Las Vegas on August 24th. Where do you hear some of this? And it's too much for me to list, so I'm going to let the world champion, Michael Todd, come on and kind of let everybody know a little bit about this. He is the arm wrestling 15-time arm wrestling world champion with one arm. And what are you, Mike? I think 12-time world champion with the other arm?
No, it's actually 15 times combined, right and left. I'm world champion both arms. But the left arm had an injury a few years ago. Basically blew apart. They had to go in and rebuild it. But I've had 3 successful matches since then. So, yeah, it's 15 total.
I think, when we met the other day in Las Vegas and as we were talking, the thing that threw me the most was the world champion with both arms. There's champions with, that bats right. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, nobody's won a batting title from both sides of the plate. Right-handed one year and left-handed the next. So I think that's just a tremendous. But talk to us a little bit about the World Bar Arm Wrestling Championship. And I know you have a big. Is it called a match where you're going head-to-head against the other guy?
Yeah, they call it a super match. Basically, it's 2 world-class arm wrestlers just basically having multiple rounds. It's going to be a best out of 5 to determine who the man is. So yeah, I've got a $50,000 match. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we just talked about how all the fans are always bitching and screaming about money, 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 yet I'm still going to throw out that the winner of this super match, Derek, gets $50,000.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. We started the promotion started back in April. I was down in Puerto Rico with one of the main promoters, and he basically put out a $25,000 challenge to this Russian arm wrestler who's Denis Plenkov. We're actually 2-1. I beat him once. He's beat me twice. But he's been dodging me for about a year. So he said, "Hey, a $25,000 challenge match to Denis Plenkov." Well, then he did not respond, and then they gave him like 5 days, and basically he had prior engagements, other commitments that he had to do. So then he asked me, "Okay, if you had a $50,000 match, who would you want it to be against?" And I said, "Travis Bagent," without any hesitation, because basically he's the Muhammad Ali of arm wrestling. He's the guy that talks more crap than anybody who's ever arm wrestled, and I'd never beat him. We haven't arm wrestled in like 5 years. I'm on a 2-year winning streak. My right arm hasn't been pinned in the last 36 matches. So I called him out because, for one, I wanted to check him off my list, and for 2, I knew it would be an entertaining, fun, exciting match for the fans.
Now, there comes a point, we've asked this with fighters, and we've just anybody we talk to. When is that point that hey, I'm really good at this? I mean, how does this start? Does this start in college where you got buddies are just screwing around and you start pinning arms down, and all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I'm not only like good amongst my friends, but I'm really good at this. When was that point?
Well, basically, I started back in high school, and I'm from Arkansas, so basically everyone's arm wrestled sometime or another here for sure. And I went to an event my senior year in high school, took third. It was called wrist wrestling back then. That's when you would lock hands in the middle and you would pin your opponent to your forearm. I went to that, took third, started doing some at my boys' club. I actually went back to the hometown I was from and said, "Hey, we need to do an arm wrestling tournament." And I did that for about a year there. I was undefeated. And I went to my first professional arm wrestling tournament in August 1st of 1992. First match, I got smashed. I didn't know what the technique was the guy used. It was a top row. He went outside, took me out of my power, and beat me. The next match, guy went into a hook, and that's where I was strong at. My bicep was real strong, so this guy went into my power. I ended up beating him, and he was the reigning national champion at the time. His name was James Anderson. The guy that put him on the B side of the bracket was Robert Redden, and he had been training for 3 years to beat this guy. So he got his first win on him ever, and then me, first ever arm wrestling tournament, and I put the guy out of the event. So a few weeks later, I went to national championships, was like 7th or something, and I was hooked, So I've been doing it ever since. Won my first national title in 2000, and between 2000 and 2009, I won a national title every year for those 10 years running, over 5 different weight classes, and a total of 20 national titles.
Okay, I'm real scared to ask this question because I know I'm going to see you again in Las Vegas on August 24th, and I'm not being a smart ass at all. But
yes, you are.
No, honestly, I'm not. When we were together, you made a comment to the people that we were with that you went and did cardio, and that talk about the workouts. Talk about what you need to do to get prepared, because a lot of Tom, Dick, and Harry's thinking, no, you just sit down at a table, you grab the other guy's arm, 1, 2, 3, bam, it's over.
Yeah, well, at this level, we're all professional athletes. Like you have to train extensively to get to become a world-class athlete, no matter what you do. But I train a little differently. My right elbow, when my left elbow blew apart a few years ago, it was a misdiagnosis by the doctor. He said I had a muscle tear, so I just kept training. Went into the match, and it was actually, as soon as they said go, I drove into the shoulder press, was looking at the crowd, putting on a show, and bam, my arm just blew. So the medial collateral ligament ripped off the bone, the flexor mass rolled up the forearm, and the elbow dislocated 6 inches. So I went back to the doctor, had him repair that, and while I was there, I thought, hey, would you guys go ahead and x-ray my right arm? Come to find out, my right arm had been fractured like 70 times. And I just hadn't gotten, health insurance like 6 months before, so I never went to the doctor. And he said, son, I don't know how to explain this to you, but your elbow looks like what I would expect a 300-year-old man's arm to look like.
And you were wrestling with that?
Yeah, he said 300-year-old man. He said, I don't understand how you have any musculature in your arms. You don't have a functioning joint anymore. So, long story short, arm wrestling hurts me, right? The best way to get great at arm wrestling is to arm wrestle. Most all the elite arm wrestlers have an arm wrestling practice once a week where you get to grip different guys' hands, feel different, different techniques, and so that's how you get better at arm wrestling. Well, because of all my injuries, I basically just lift weights between competitions. I'll lift weights up to a week before the competition, take off a week, and then just show up as strong as I can that day. But my workouts are completely different. I only train for 5 minutes a day. I do 5 minutes a day of a workout, whether it's chest one day, back one day, legs one day, arms one day, shoulders one day. But it's the most intense 5 minutes you ever seen anybody work out. So I think my last chest workout before my last competition, the cumulative amount of weight lifted over those 4.5 minutes was like 57,000 pounds. Because I'll do 30 rep sets, right? So I did like incline with 275, immediately went to flat for 275, decline for 275. Those are all 30 reps. Then at 270 pounds, I'd do 30 dips, 200-pound pec deck for 3, and then 50 push-ups. And by the time I got done, it was 50-something thousand pounds that was moved in that time frame. So the reason I train that way is because
I'm going to take that approach at the gym. 5 minutes. I'm going to go berserker for 5 minutes, which probably will equal, I'd say
300 pounds.
I would say about 300 to 400 pounds. Good Lord! How did you come up with this strategy being the best for you?
Well, basically, I got tired of working out. I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and it was no longer fun. It just became a job. So I thought, well, how can I get this done faster? Instead of doing 3 sets of 10, I'll just do 1 set of 30. Well, then it was like, okay, well, that still takes too long. I just won't take a break. And it turned out to be a very good way of training for me personally, because what I've done in the last couple of years is they're super matches. I don't do a lot of double elimination tournaments anymore. It's basically just one-on-one competitions. And what that is you and I would arm wrestle. We'd have one match, we'd have a 1 to 2 minute break, and we'd have another one. And, it's either going to be a 5-round, 6-round, 3, whatever the rounds are, however many they are. And most arm wrestlers have to have a couple of things happen for them to win, right? For them to win the match, they have to get a good grip, they have to get a good start, they've got to get into their position, and, several things have to happen. One thing has to happen for me to win, and that's when they say go, my arm not touch the pad. Because as soon as I stop the opponent, I can go at 100% of my maximum effort for 5 minutes, because I do it every day in the gym. So as soon as the match stops, I will outlast my opponent. It will take more out of him than it does me. We'll have a 1 or 2 minute break, and I'll do it again.
How many arms have you broken?
Do what?
How many arms or elbows have you broken on an opponent? Do you keep track of it?
I personally don't believe I ever broke anyone's arm. Now, I have arm wrestled people and their arm broke, but I believe it was their bad technique that did it. They would put themselves in a position where it would put too much torque on the arm and it would break. I don't believe I've ever personally broken anyone's arm.
That's a politically correct way of saying it. How many times has that happened?
Just a handful.
Not
3 or 4, something like that. But
good Lord,
Michael, let me ask you this: on the big super match, which will be August 24th, it'll be on pay-per-view. I will be out there covering it. It's going to be tremendous. You said that Travis is a big trash talker. Is there trash talking while you're actually arm wrestling?
Well, Travis would normally do that. Unfortunately for him, he won't have the opportunity, because as soon as the match stops, you're going to see his soul leave his body, because he knows I'm going to win, right? So Travis is the most entertaining arm wrestler in the world before and after the match, right? He will talk a lot of crap before, and he'll make you laugh after, right? But I'm the most entertaining arm wrestler in the world during a match, because they call me Monster Michael Todd. Now, I'm just normal Michael Todd when I come up to the table. But as soon as that match stops, and that's when the monster takes over, because you see my eyes twitch and the confidence just takes over at me. As soon as that match stops, I know I'm going to win, right? So I'm the guy to watch during the match. Travis is a fun dude to watch before and after the match. So the talking crap is going to happen from Travis, preceding the match. And there may be a little bit of trash talk after, but more than likely he's just going to come over and bow to me and say I'm the man.
If people want to get more information, you can go to the worldbararmwrestling.com. All the information is up there. I know more things will be leaked as the events get closer. Michael, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to not only having you back on the program, but seeing you out in Las Vegas August 24th.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. And you guys be sure to watch the pay-per-view. It's going to be exciting.
It is definitely going to be exciting. Thanks, Mike. That is Michael Todd, known as the Monster. And here's a little, how about this?
I'm looking at some of his stuff.
Oh, it's crazy.
And at worldbararmwrestling.com. It's nuts.
It is nuts.
These guys are psycho.
And let me just kind of break, even though it's out. You know me, because you give me crap all the time. You know
True.
Things, you need to say it, you need to do it. I know that this is out, so I can release it. Some guy by the name of John Jones will be the special commentator for this event.
John Bones Jones? Because I'm sure John Jones is a pretty common name, yeah.
John Bones Jones.
Okay.
So there'll be some other interesting people in his genre that will be involved in this event as well. Each and every Wednesday night, we will have a different arm wrestler on to talk about the event coming up on the 24th. Knockout Radio is getting involved. It's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to ride their coattails, put it that way.
Dude, we need to know who we're doing beforehand, and I think to get an appreciation of this, put it on Knockout Radio, a video of that guy, because there's a ton of YouTube videos of these things, and they're out of hand. I mean, this is
well, and the thing,
and
I know there was people, here in the studio and behind the glass. Some people thought some things were humorous, but as I met Michael, he cannot lift his arms above his head straight up. From all the injuries, from all the tears, from all the breaks, from all the and as you're looking at it on YouTube, he's a pretty thick dude.
Well, it's to do this stuff is insane. I mean, when you start talking about professional level, yeah, all these guys are. You don't go in there with skinny forearms and small biceps. It's not how it works.
And we'll talk more about it with the other athletes, and we'll get Michael back on again, because there's things like and I brought it up to him that if you remember the Sylvester Stallone movie Over the Top.
Oh yeah, how can I forget it?
So we'll talk to them about it, and a lot of times nurses don't like nurse shows and doctors don't. So I'll be curious, how those guys feel. But this is going to be a major event.
Yeah.
And there are some major events after this one as well that are planned, and we will definitely be involved.
This stuff's nuts. I'm going to be quiet the rest of the show and just be checking out this. So carry on.
Michael Todd, the Monster, and I've been tweeting that all along, that the Monster will be coming on. So interesting. Enough about arm wrestling. So coming up next, we're going to go back in time and look at the UFC Fan Expo. And if you guys ever get a chance, you guys need to go to that. You guys here, you guys listening out in Radio Land. Sean, I know you've been to at least 2 of them. And it's 2 or 3. Have you been to more than Boston and Vegas?
Toronto.
And Toronto. It's just cool because it's something like no other sport. The Super Bowl, they have a fan expo per se, but the athletes are not walking around like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys, they have that autograph table and you can go get just like the All-Star game next week, but you cannot get close enough to the guys. And it's just really a cool time. So the event coordinator will be coming on here momentarily, Mike Kriskin. And I know that he's in a hospital right now taking care of a friend, so it may or may not happen, on time.
I'm assuming it was well attended again, as always. You were out there. I saw the UFC even put a picture of your ugly mug up there.
How about we got a little love from the UFC,
that, huh?
And of
Big
course,
timer.
I didn't know about it, but there was a fan out in she's in Vegas now, but that we met in Kansas City, and she saw it, tweeted it, and it was definitely cool. Who was this? And it was Chuck Liddell, and it was really cool. Like I said, the Radio Row was really cool. The access to everybody. Dana did every single show.
Yeah.
But by the time he got done, we were done, and I grabbed Chuck as he walked by, and which was a shame. We already went an extra hour last Friday, and unfortunately, we couldn't go a third hour over. But the Fan Expo is a lot of fun, and hopefully they will do it again. I'd like to see them move that around and not just do the Vegas one.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it in Boston. I know they did it in England. I know they've done it in Toronto. Not every fan can get to Vegas, but they're going to hit the East Coast or they're going to hit whatever. So as more come out, we'll definitely find out about it.
Don't they usually do it during the July 4th weekend?
Yeah, it's always the July 4th.
Then.
Yeah,
so,
and
they always have that event
Correct.
in Vegas, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's a huge weekend out there for them. It's a good weekend to have it. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to have another one, maybe a traveling day. But those are no small feats to put on. And I think we talked to people involved with them before. I mean, that's not
any event like that.
Yeah, because they do it right. I mean, a lot of places
Comic-Con or any of those stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but they do a good job.
Let's go up to Maryland and talk to Todd. Todd, how are you?
Todd, how are you?
You there, Todd?
No, Todd apparently is not there.
Yeah, apparently Todd is gone. Sorry, Randy.
No worries. I'm assuming that's TK, who I had the opportunity to meet. And what was funny is we met him. I went to the Mask documentary, and I do want to talk about that for a second. And I had some tickets to the big UFC Friday night party. I tweeted TK, hey, if you want him, come and get him. And then I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to know who he is? Because I just tweeted out, come and meet me. Thank God when I went up and met him, he was wearing a Bubba Army shirt.
There you go.
So it kind of gave it away. The Mask documentary will come out next year. And let me say this. I thought I knew Charles. I thought I knew him. He made everybody feel like you knew him.
Mm-hmm.
That guy lived in a dark, dark place. That guy was a little disturbed.
Get out of here.
Well, not to the level that I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was some problems.
Because grown men usually walk around with face paint and shit. That doesn't.
Well, Sting does it every day.
He doesn't do it every day. He doesn't even do it every day, and he's a pro wrestler. This is just a guy who was selling T-shirts.
He wanted to be a character, and it's all documented.
Yeah.
In this, and it was ironic because I had a talk with Punk Ass. I was a little disturbed that there was a guy dressed like Mask, looking like a Mask at the documentary.
Where else would that guy be?
And it was just eerie to me.
If you're walking around dressing and looking like Mask, I hope you show up for the premiere of his movie.
He was walking around the Fan Expo like that. And Punk Ass saw him, and then Punk Ass invited him to the documentary. And I was talking to Scrape first, and I said, hey, I don't like this at all. And then Dan kind of, as we were talking, or Punk Ass came and said, that's what Mask wanted. Mask was a character. Mask would like the fact, that people are dressing up like him because he was a superhero. If you saw the TV show where he stands over and looking over Vegas and stuff, but to see, and we knew some of the story, but to see where they came from, how they kicked Tap Out off. They both were police officers. Mm-hmm. And there's one part in the documentary where after a show, Mask took Punk Ass outside and just broke down and started crying. And he goes, we don't have the money to stay. We have to drive 8 hours back. And just how, everything that was on both their shoulders. And they walked away from a career in law enforcement. It really was moving. It was really interesting.
Did they put that together? The Tap Out guy?
The Rezak guy did. The guy who, I guess, did the TV show and was involved in.
Right.
I forget his first name. But it was very, very well done. They're going to edit a few more things. And there was a little sexual abuse as a young child. It was just, it was just definitely. Well, TK is back. I don't know if he's back in Maryland, but he's definitely back on the line. TK, how are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm back, and then back to the grind. Vacation's over.
Welcome back to the real world.
Yeah, exactly. Got home at 2:30 and back up at 6 to get to work. So it's back for sure.
Well, you need that job so that you can pay to come back to another event. So, don't talk bad about working.
Yeah, right. Yeah, at this day and age. Listen, Randy, thanks again for hooking up with me out there. It was great finally getting in touch with you and seeing you and everything. And then Expo on Saturday was great. Got to see a lot of guys, I'm sure, as you saw and everything, and meet a bunch of guys. And it was really cool. It was a really nice event. It really, put their best foot forward with it.
What'd you think about the actual the pay-per-view? What'd you walk away with? Who did you think came out? Obviously, the buzz is the Anderson Silva fight, but was there anyone else who caught your attention that you thought really showed up?
Well, I mean, actually, in what happened with me was we were at our hotel in the sports book, and we figured they would have the pay-per-view. As soon as the FX card is done, they put on Angels baseball. So I go up to the guy and say, well, we don't have the pay-per-view. So then we had to hop in the monorail and head down to the Strip and find a sports book that had the pay-per-view finally. So I missed a couple of them, but Mark Munoz, I ended up catching up with them and stuff like that. But that was nice to see, of course. And Frankie Edgar, I picked him to win. Now, Derek, I got a quick question for you as far as gambling goes.
Yeah.
They had Weidman at plus 200, and they had Silva at minus 240. So now Longhorns told me, for that, if you put up 200 for Silva, you only win 40. Is that how that works?
Correct.
And then for Weidman, if he's plus 200, what do you put up and what do you win with him?
You bet 100, you get 2.
Okay. All right. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I just wasn't sure.
Did you take Silva?
What's that?
Who'd you end up taking in that fight?
Longhorns told me to take Silva, but my wife wanted to put money on Weidman, so we didn't do anything, and then she rubbed it in my face after the fact.
Listen, when all bets are off, always pick against Longhorn and go with your wife.
Not even Longhorn, always go with your wife.
Whether it be UFC fights, whether anything,
or you're going to dinner.
Yeah, your wife's right. Not Longhorn. What the hell does he know?
Hey, TK, just remember one thing, okay? If you don't remember one thing for the rest of your life, remember this one thing that I'm about to tell you. Happy wife, happy life.
And you know what? To just pile on Longhorn. The last 7 days, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, he's been putting up some nice photos of him sporting a great-looking Chicago Blackhawks Stanley Cup champion shirt, just to see where he stands on the betting front.
Yeah, I think he was passed out drunk in one of the pictures.
Hey, listen, you wear that shirt. You wear that shirt, you drink like a champion. What can I say?
Yeah,
always appreciate the call, TK.
Thanks, TK.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
You guys have a good one.
It was definitely cool meeting up with you. Speaking of the Blackhawks, did you see the picture that's floating around
with the Beebster?
Well, I don't think it's Beeb taking that picture, is it? No, it's not him.
He's in the picture.
No, there's
with the cup.
There's a picture of some Moronsky standing on the logo.
Yeah, that's Beebster.
Is it really him?
Yeah, that's the Beebster.
I didn't know who it was.
Yeah,
he's a huge Blackhawk fan.
Listen,
he's a huge tool.
That is true. As I was saying to people today, it's not the Beebster's fault. He doesn't know. He's looking to get his best picture. I'm more pissed at the 3 suits that are standing around with their hands in their pockets that tell him don't stand on the logo.
Man, he's Canadian. He's supposed to know that.
Shit, he doesn't know. Kid's been on tour since he's been like 7.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not he was born in Canada. It's not like he's consuming Canadiens games.
I didn't realize that it was him, but when I saw it, Pete the Sports Geek kind of posted it up there. I'm like, holy crap! Are you kidding me? Just absolutely unbelievable.
Disrespectful.
Yeah,
it is disrespectful.
Yeah, that's disrespectful too. Everything's disrespectful.
That's not disrespectful.
You can't dance around. No, he doesn't know any better. It's not disrespectful.
Well,
he doesn't know. It'd be different if they're like, hey, when you go in there, don't stand on the logo. That's kind of a hockey thing. How many hockey dressing rooms how many hockey teams, how many team sports period do you think the Beebsters played on? So it'd be disrespectful if they said, hey, Justin, you could take a picture anywhere but the logo, and he looked at him, walked right on the logo, and took a picture.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd do that too. But that
you've dealt with him.
That just recently started here in Tampa too with the logo.
Right.
That was before the Stanley Cup, so it's not like it's a
right, and that's not like an honored.
Thing.
Yeah. Who cares?
Okay,
who cares? Disrespectful. Anderson Silva showboating. Disrespectful. Everything's disrespectful. It's not disrespectful. How's that? Stop him.
Which one are we at?
Which Weidman did? I'm talking about being disrespectful. Why is that disrespectful?
Because
to what? Here's more disrespectful to me would be like throwing punches on a guy who's out and the rest pulling you off, holding a choke on too long. That's disrespectful.
Showing up overweight.
Showing up overweight's you know where I stand on that.
Me
but,
too.
You dance around the ring. I mean, you can dance around the ring if you want. And it just know that you might get caught, and he got caught.
I'm okay with dancing around the ring. I'm okay with, backpedaling the entire
He's throwing
fight.
leg kicks. He's bobbing and weaving. The thing, it's not like he was running away from a fight. He was just, come on, stand right here. Let's go. These are things Roy Jones Jr. did. These are things Ali did. These are things Silva did. And these are things that all added to their greatness. They were that good that they were able to do that and win. When Roy Jones Jr. had both hands behind his back, was bobbing and weaving, then cranked over a right hand and knocked the guy out, no one was screaming it was disrespectful. Everyone, oh my God, it was awesome. Same with the Forrest Griffin thing. What was more disrespectful? Forrest Griffin getting knocked out like that, or Forrest Griffin running out of the cage afterwards?
Oh, they were equal. I mean, Forrest.
No, they're not equal.
Forrest running out. Well, the one with
they're
Forrest,
not equal at all.
The one with
one
Forrest,
guy did his job that he signed up for, is the greatest fighter in the world. He put on a show, and the other guy ran.
When Anderson Silva did that to Forrest, it wasn't as bad.
Because it connected.
It
was effective.
No. It has nothing to do with that.
That's what everything has to do.
No, it has nothing to do with what Anderson Silva did against Forrest Griffin. Is nowhere near equal to what he did to Damian Maia and what he did last Saturday.
Because there was a finish.
No, it has nothing to do with the fight. I'm saying him kind of sticking his face out, coming back, doing it one time, and then knocking him out was bad. But it wasn't awful to where you're playing the freaking air guitar in the middle of a fight. To me, that's insane.
It is insane.
The thing that I also
it adds to who he is and what he does.
How come the management was very upset at Anderson Silva after the Damian Maia fight?
Because they went to a decision. It was 5 rounds of it, or 3 rounds, whatever.
And it was in front of the new owners too,
right.
And there was
partners.
Yeah, the new partners over in Abu Dhabi.
The new ownership group, or added ownership group.
Yeah,
the new friends.
9%.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's not. I mean, that's what the guy does.
Where's the outrage for the Diaz brothers when they do the same thing? You never hear that. It's just the Diaz brothers
talking
being the Diaz
shit,
brothers.
and it actually
Nick and Nate being Nick and Nate.
People actually gravitate towards that more because they mean mug and do it, and they're flicking guys off. Anderson doesn't flick any guys off.
True.
I mean,
true.
I feel like with Anderson, he catches so much shit because he's not the superstar people want him to be, because he's a little aloof. He is a little standoffish with the media. So I feel like he catches way more grief than a lot of these other guys do.
I'm going to correct you, if it's okay. He's not standoffish with the media. He's great to the media. He's great to the fans. My thing is, he changes when he gets in the cage to do that stuff. Outside of the cage, whether he's faking that he can't understand English or not, and whether Ed Sorens translates it or whatever.
Right.
He's always been accessible to the media.
Except when he no-shows the conference call.
That was the start of this whole thing.
Right.
Didn't want the fight. Misses the press conference.
Missed the first the kickoff press conference. I mean, he's just he's a different bird, and I think that makes people really dislike him a lot more. I tell you, he dances around like that on Saturday night. He ducks those punches and hits Weidman with a knee to the body and drops him. He's the greatest fighter ever.
Well, and that's what Dana said.
Everyone goes crazy.
And he goes back up to 1 on your pound for pound.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
And you say he toyed with this guy who was supposed to beat him.
And no, if he would have done that and won on Saturday, he would have stayed where he was on my list at number 2.
More impressive of a performance, Chael Sonnen's first fight against Anderson or Weidman's?
I would say Chael. I would say Chael. He dominated 4.5 rounds.
So that one punch, though, it makes all the difference? For on your pound for pound ranking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The hand raised.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. With that said, first hour down. Coming up in the second hour, Cub Swanson, who would like a title shot. So we're going to discuss that with him. The recently retired Seth Petruzelli. And what are you calling it? The People's Event? The People's
Main Event.
The People's Main Event. Josh Samman coming on to talk about Uriah Hall and Boston. We'll be right back. A little bit longer than normal, but we are back. A lot of things still to talk about. We're going to get a hold of Cub Swanson here momentarily, as he's ready to get right back in it.
I would imagine. That dude was built to fight, and I'll pay to watch that guy fight every time out. He doesn't lay down. I mean, never a boring fight. Big fan of what he's doing.
Fight of the night the other day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of talked about at the press conference that he wants the title shot.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him in that title shot. There's a long line right now, though.
There's a little bit of a line.
There's really not.
It's a bit jammed up. It's a bit jammed up, and when you start looking at when those guys are fighting and how the schedule lays out, just with people lined up already with fights, it could be a little bit for them.
Well, and I think that's the biggest problem. Is that fights are already lined up. Jose Aldo has the fight with the Korean Zombie. But after that, who would be next other than Cub?
And that's coming up in a couple of weeks,
right?
Too.
Yeah. Hey, who would be next? I mean, you still have.
If it's not Cub.
If it's not Cub, you still have
Lamas.
You have Pettis, right?
Who's hurt?
I think
he was supposed to fight Aldo.
All right, all these guys that want the fight. I know Cub wants the fight,
right?
And we have him on the line right now to talk about it. First and foremost, Cub, thank you very much for your time and congratulations.
Thanks, bud, and thanks for having me on.
Let's before we go ahead, and I know that's what you and I talked about at the press conference. We want to look ahead, but briefly, let's go back and talk us through the fight of the night.
Okay, Seaver was a tough dude, like I anticipated, and a little ball of muscle, and I knew that he couldn't keep the same pace as I could, so. When I had trouble really, getting comfortable in there in the first round, then I got taken down. So, he basically won that round, but he tired himself out, and I could hear him breathing heavy in my ear on the ground. So I just relaxed and took my time and decided to try to win rounds 2 and 3 and really try to kill it in the third. So, luckily that paid off.
Did he ever really have you in trouble in that first round? It looked like there were a couple times just watching from home that I thought, oh man, this one might finish here soon. Did he ever really kind of have you in trouble, or did you feel like you could weather that storm through the first?
No, I was completely fine. I don't even have any marks on my face anymore. I don't even look like I got in a fight and he didn't really have any submissions close or anything like that. So I don't mind him having like a dominant position as long as I'm not taking damage.
Sure.
So I felt completely fine.
Cub, talk us through the very end of the fight, and I'm very critical of guys. After a fight, a referee comes over, they throw excessive punches that don't need to be thrown. What's going through your head that you're able to pretty much on a dime stop throwing a punch when you know that your opponent's done?
Well, usually I'm the one who just keeps going till the ref pulls me off because that's my mentality, and I'd never want to be in that situation. But for some reason, I was looking in his eyes, and I could see that he was trying to kind of kick me off with his feet, but his hands weren't like doing anything. Like he was having trouble bringing his hands up to protect his face. So I knew he was like done. So I kind of looked up at Herb, and he kind of took a step back, and me knowing that he's obviously not going to stop it. So I started hitting him as hard as I could. And then I kind of saw his eyes go back a little bit, and then I was like, oh, man, he's done. And finally, they stopped it.
It was definitely one of those pictures of, are you going to come in here and stop this thing or what? Do I need to stop it myself?
Yeah, because those last couple punches, I get emotional, I get frustrated and angry, and so those last couple of shots, I really hit them hard, and it actually hurt my hand. So I was just kind of like frustrated, like, my hands are hurting now. The guy, I thought he was done, so I don't see the point in me, having to hit him anymore.
Now, obviously, we know Seaver is a very strong kickboxer, and you mentioned earlier about how he had taken you to the ground, and you guys had some ground and pound going on throughout the fight. Did any of that surprise you, any of his game outside of what he was doing from a kickboxing and striking perspective?
No. He fought the exact same like we prepared for. The only thing that I was really having trouble with was he leans to the side very, very hard. And so I was punching where I thought his head was going to be, and I was just slightly off. And, once he slowed down, it was easier to really, find him. And that was the biggest thing. He wasn't really much of a surprise. And he really, didn't get any takedowns on me. That was I would say I more took myself down. I threw my leg up on his shoulder. I aimed too high for that spinning kick. Should have taken into consideration he's a lot shorter than me.
Cub, let me ask you this. We talked at the press conference, and you were talking about that you want the title shot and you want the fans to get behind and start tweeting Dana, which we're going to have the fans do. If the title shot is not next, do you want to wait for that, or is there somebody that you want, whether it's, Mendez or Lamas, or where would you like to go next if it's not Aldo?
Well, if they're going to give somebody else Aldo, then, that's way too long for me to wait. I'm in prime position right now. I'm doing well. There's no sense in me waiting. But I do want that fight, and if I have to fight one more time, then I would like the Lamas fight or the Frankie fight. There's also Mendez, but he's got to get through my teammate Clay Guidas first. So, and then there's also Pettis, but we really don't know what he's doing, and my first choice would be Aldo. Don't think the Korean Zombie is going to beat him, and so then after that it would either be Lamas or Edgar would be my next choices. But like I said, I want the fans to decide. I want them to, that's what it's about. It's about the fans, and I want to see what they think.
So then, correct me if I'm wrong. If the fans want somebody, but you want somebody else, you would be okay with what the fans want.
Yeah, if that's what the fans want, and the UFC says, that does make sense, we're good with that, then I'd do it.
Think about, just some of those names listed.
Oh,
This division
is stacked.
A couple, maybe a year and a half ago, everyone was kind of like, well, who's going to be coming along in this division? And all of a sudden now, it's 6, 7, 8 guys really deep. Do you ever look at that, and has your view of it changed, Cub Swanson, as maybe the pressure now to win fights? You always want to go in and win fights, but now the pressure is really cranked up because there is so much talent in the division, and if you don't get the win, you're falling way behind a couple really good fighters.
I've thought about that, and I just think that if I did for some reason lose, because the talent is so high, I wouldn't get down on myself. I would just, make the adjustments and try to get right back on a win streak. Because at this point in my career and my life, man, I'm having so much fun fighting, and I just like to get out there and do it. The way I think about it nowadays, I put so much work into my training camps and so many hours. I've been doing this 10 years, man, and so many hours that people don't see me training. So that 15 minutes in the cage or so, that's my opportunity to showcase everything that I've been working and shine. So I get super excited to be able to be in that opportunity on a stage like that to do it, and it makes me happy.
I'm not real good at mathematics, but as I'm trying to add this up as we're talking to you, Cub, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 fight of the nights in your last 11 fights?
Well, I had 4 in WEC, and I had this one. So I think only 5, and then 2 knockout of the nights. And here's something that I actually brag about, what a lot of people wouldn't, but even my losses have all been submission of the night, knockout of the night, which I take pride in because I refuse to be in a boring fight. Either I'm going to win big or I'm going to lose big. However it goes, I just want the fans to remember that I come to fight, and I'm not trying to be boring. I get bored in there. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to put on a show.
And I can definitely say, your name, I knew about you in the WEC, and obviously I'm not the only one, but, we all watched.
You're the one.
I'm the guy who knew about it. But, when Cub came over, and he's a name that, when I'm talking to the casual fans, I say, if he's on a card, you got to watch this guy. This guy's the guy to watch. And I think there was a lot of anticipation for your fight on Saturday night, and it delivered big time. So thank you for that.
Oh, man, I knew that there was a lot of media attention on me this time, and, probably the biggest I've ever had, and it just set the stage. And, when I'm warming up backstage, I just kind of tell myself, like, hey, man, this is your opportunity. You got to live up to it. It pumps me up. I go out there and I just have fun.
Cub, talk to us a little bit about not necessarily the fans, even though they are very extremely important, but your peers. I remember your teammate, you just mentioned him, Clay Guida. He called me not too long ago, and he's like, you got to start talking to Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson is exciting. Cub Swanson. What's it like to have, your peers talking about you like that, just like the fans are?
Man, it gets me emotional. I'm not going to lie. To hear my teammates, talk highly of me, that's awesome. To hear, John Jones told me, I was talking to Dana about you, and I was kind of like, yeah, okay, And then I ended up seeing the backstage video, and he was like hyping me up to Dana, and I was like so proud, gee, these guys, they really have my back. And not only that, but then just fighters you look up to in general, they come up to you and they go, hey, man, your last fight was awesome. And I'm like a fan of theirs. And then I think just in general, high honors from your peers is like the biggest compliment you can get. Because, fans are always going to tell you, oh, you're the best, cool. But when somebody that does what you do has that much respect for you, that's the highest honor.
All right, so we've already got the tweets going out. We're going to hit the Yapped app as well, asking the fans what would they like. But we'll leave this one up to you. When would you like it? You'll take whatever fight the fans want, whatever Dana and Joe Silva give you. But when would you like that next fight to be?
Probably, sometime this year, later this year, just because I'd like to heal up a little bit. And, you get these little knick-knack injuries through training camps, and I like to do long training camps. I usually do, 12 to 14 weeks, gradually just getting better and better. So I want plenty of time to prepare because I know it's going to be a big fight with whoever it is. And, I want to be ready, and I want to be healed up, and I'd like to do one more this year.
Okay, and if not that, we'll put in our tweet Super Bowl because that's going to be a pretty big event, which is now being moved to Newark, the Super Bowl up there in New Jersey.
The more eyes, I'm telling you, the great thing about Cub is in the UFC, I'm sure sees this in Zuffa, when they put him on a card, they want eyes on it because he sells what MMA and what UFC is all about. So the more eyes, the better.
Oh, well, thank you. That was my feeling going into this fight. I felt a little bit like, okay, I just did co-main event on a smaller card, and then I'm barely making the main card on this one. So I was like, I need to remind them why I feel like I deserve to be high up on the card. So I had a little bit of motivation.
And I think you made that mark. I know the fans know it. I know that Dana and Joe knows it. And like I said, we're going to hit up the Randy Brigade and the Yapped app on Twitter. And we're going to find out who the fans want, and we'll make sure that you know as well. Cub, thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again and having you back on the program.
Thanks, guys, and I can't wait for the next one. Thanks for helping me get my name out there and my story. So I really appreciate it.
We'll talk to you again soon. Cub Swanson, everybody. Pick up the phone, 855-483-6646.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage? Or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
I'm going to describe it in football terms only because of your background with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Derek.
And St. Louis Rams.
All right, but in this particular, I didn't know you were with the Rams, but in this particular scenario, Cub Swanson, and let me get through before you tell me I'm nuts, even though we all know I am. Cub Swanson reminds me of Michael Pittman in the fact that nobody wanted to get near Michael Pittman, his physique and his arms and this and that, and they were kind of intimidated. And Cub kind of gives that look off a little bit, but once you get to talk to him, once you get to know him, I mean, he's an awesome guy. He's an awesome interview. He's an awesome guy to be around. He's down to earth, which again,
but if you saw him sitting at a table,
you wouldn't get near him.
You're thinking something sharp might be heading your way.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the thing that I'm trying to relate to and using Mike as the scenario, that he's not Cub just by the appearance isn't a guy that you just walk up and start talking to.
Right.
You would take a look and run the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do reach out to him, if you do talk to him, a great story, down-to-earth guy, a guy who likes to work hard and put on some extremely exciting fights.
Yeah. No, big fan. Big fan of his. Like I said, when he's on a card, I'm circling that fight because I know he's going to bring it. Like, I love the fact that he said, most guys probably don't brag about this, but even when he gets submitted or knocked out, it's knockout or submission of the night. So to me, and I think that carries a lot of weight with the fans of this sport, and that Zuffa's not going to cut a guy for putting out their best effort. So that's awesome.
I would never correct somebody, that's on the air, but it is 6 bonuses.
You think he would know?
You would think he would know.
Checks, right?
You would think he would know. Fight of the night in the WEC against the Japanese fighter that I can't pronounce.
The one.
Yeah, that one.
That guy.
Fight of the night in the WEC 44. Fight of the night, WEC 52. Fight of the night at the UFC on FX, the Maynard Clay fight against Ross Pearson. Fight of the night against Charles Oliveira. And then again, fight of the night last Saturday.
Yeah,
I said, my math isn't good.
Well, he's probably thinking that you just talked about his wins. But he also included, are those all wins? Because he also included losses in.
No, that's all wins.
Oh, okay.
That is.
Hey, I'll take your word for it.
You're
looking at it.
I'm looking at it.
It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
I know I'm not good with mathematics, and I guess I can't read either. But
that's if we're talking only the $50K for each one. That's $300,000 just in bonuses.
Well, it was the WEC.
They don't make any money.
I'm saying WEC might not have been paying that type of money. But now on the line, a good friend of our program. We've had him on numerous times, and to the best of my knowledge, this is his first official radio media deal since that announcement. Let's welcome Seth Petruzelli. Seth, how are you?
Hey, very good. And yes, it still is my first official media, I guess, radio show after my announcement, I guess.
Okay.
We were hoping that there was at least going to be a tweeted out drawing of your retirement plan, kind of like your game plan going into the Mo fight, but not so much, huh?
like a schematic of like what's going on after my retirement and all that stuff. That'd be actually pretty good.
Yeah, keep it up. The good stick figure drawings are always great.
Yeah, that plan didn't work out so well, so maybe I should go back to the drawing board, I guess.
And speaking of plans, I saw you the last couple of days in Vegas. You did that MMA show, and I know that you had those big billboards, but from what I've been told, you were not able to get them home.
No, I feel bad. I drug. You saw how big it was. It had to have been about 6 foot by like probably 4 foot. It was giant, heavy cardboard, and it was me. It was a picture of me and Matt Hughes and Karen, and we were all. I was trying to bring it up because I thought I'd be able to ship it home because I thought it'd be kind of cool to put it up at my gym,
Absolutely.
And the shipping would have been ridiculous. I might as well just made a new one in Orlando. So I left it in the room, and I heard that the poor little maids had to drag it outside, and it was sitting outside my room for about like 2 days before they finally took it away.
Well, that's a better story than what I heard. So hopefully that's the story, because what I heard happened, allegedly, was that somebody plastered the board in front of somebody else's door so that when they opened the door, they saw you.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Maybe that's what it is. All I heard was somebody saw it outside a door for a couple of days, so maybe it was plastered to it, so when they opened it, they saw it. That would have been that's pretty funny. I didn't do that, if that's what you're thinking.
That is pretty funny. All right, so let's get to the announcement that you made a week or two ago. Retirement, you're going to give up the active fighting life. How long did it take to make that decision? And I know people always say never, but is this never?
Well, it wasn't just something that was, I announced it 2 days after my Kimbo fight, but it was something that my closest friends and my family knew for a couple of years now. I mean, I've been thinking about it for a while. Ever since I opened the gyms, it's very, very hard. I mean, any fighter that owns a gym will tell you either have someone else running it and training for a fight, or they're running it and not fighting anymore. It's almost impossible to do both and run a successful gym anyway. So not only for that reason, but it just I don't know, the competitiveness wasn't in my heart anymore, and I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it a lot for the money, I guess you could say, which it wasn't much, but it was, a nice chunk of change where, it makes a difference. So I felt that rather than doing it for the wrong reasons, I'd stop and concentrate on something that is actually going to be something that's going to be great for me long term.
Seth, let me ask you this, and I know we briefly talked about it the other day in Vegas. How long did you kind of feel this way? Because, like we talked about, that's when you do need to make the decision, because that's when you do get hurt, when you're doing it for the wrong reasons. How long have you struggled, with this kind of in the back of your head? How many fights have you had, knowing, maybe not?
Man, probably, I remember thinking this way before Carlos Mola, back when I fought for the UFC in Germany. Training for that fight, I kind of had it in my head, and after I lost that fight, I kind of broke down to my girlfriend at the time about how I felt. And, it was real emotional for me, and I felt her for a while, and I was finally just telling her this, and she said, well, maybe it's time to stop it if you feel this way. So I kind of put it in the back of my head for every fight after that until this, I guess maybe King Mo knocked the sense into me. Maybe, I guess it was very disheartening to get beat like that. I've never in my whole life been knocked out. And, some people are saying maybe that's why you're doing it, because I was knocked out the way I was. And I don't know. I mean, maybe in a year from now I will feel that way. But for right now, I really think that this is the right decision for me. And for right now, I feel like it's a forever decision.
And you talk about, running a successful gym and running a gym. Talk to us a little about, your gym, what you offer there out in, I believe, in the Orlando area, correct?
Yeah, in Orlando. We have one gym in downtown Orlando. It's been over about 5 years now, and then we just opened our second location in Lake Mary, which is about 30 minutes north. And we're open 6 a.m. to 9 o'clock at night. We have numerous jiu-jitsu classes, no-gi jiu-jitsu classes, wrestling, kickboxing, Muay Thai. And we have our own little spin-on like CrossFit. It's called Jungle Fit that we have there. And we also have the Cage Fitness, the Matt Hughes workout we have actually that we offer there. So we have boxing. So literally from morning to night, we have all sorts of classes going on. And when we got close, we got over 400 students right now. So it's actually doing very well now. But I know that it could be a lot better. And the instructors we have there and the people that we have working and running the gym, including myself and my partner Mike Lee, that I have no doubt that it could be one of the top gyms in Florida.
Have you also started the successful entrance classes? Are you going to teach your students how to get into the ring as well, or cage as well?
No, but I always try to push it on my fighters. We have fighters fighting every month, amateur fighters, pro fighters. So they are a little bit more serious than Tom Lawler and I, but not too far off. We have some characters, so I look very soon for some up and comers that when they make it to the show, they'll be fulfilling the legacy of myself in the entrance department. That's for sure.
Now, is that something you kind of? Is that something you push on the guys, or you encourage, or you're okay with? Because sometimes guys will look back and be like, "Oh, I was young and stupid. I did that." Like, you should get serious about your fighting. Like,
you mean the one who let the dogs out?
Right. I could just see here you have this someone who's really trained through your gym, and you see their potential, and they're really they could really be something, and then they come to you and say, "Hey, listen, I got this great idea. I'm going to come out." Yeah, my buddy's going to walk me out on a dog collar. We're going to come out and who walks the dog. And I could see you looking at him like, you put in all this time and effort. What are you doing? I mean, how do you balance that as a teacher?
That's my personality, not Tom's personality. I mean, I've said this in other interviews before. I've been weird and goofy since I've been a little kid, and I just never grew out of it. So that's just me. I mean, the guys at our gym, some are kind of weird and characteristic like that, have characters like that, but some are very serious, and of course I would never push that on anybody. But if they came to me and said they want to do it, then it's their life. They're going to have these memories for the rest of their lives. Let them do what they want to do. I mean, as long as they get in the ring and do their job, and they don't. If I feel like it's affecting them, then I would have something to say. But if I feel like they're doing well, then no, let them do what they want to do.
So now that the career is over, you put a stamp on it. You said you're retired. Do you look back at that at that night that you knocked out Kimbo? I mean, have you gone back and watched that again? Have you, I don't know, just now that you can reflect on it and you don't have to say, well, I got to look forward to my next fight. I got to look. Just explain to us, I mean, just what that night was like.
Keeping in mind,
it was probably the biggest mix of emotions you could ever feel, because I felt like laughing and crying like at the same time, I guess you could say. And then just it wasn't so much that night because it was surreal when it happened, but the 3 months afterwards was like a dream sequence. It was so weird that the 3 months after, because everything just started happening and calls started coming in and lots of offers that didn't happen actually, which is why I took like a year off after that fight, because there's plenty of bullshitters out there that don't follow through with what they say. So just all sorts of calls, and it was literally on a roller coaster. It was definitely the high of my life up until then, you know.
And this is going to sound, this is a terrible question. I'm going to ask it anyway. Walking into that cage, did you really feel like I have a great shot of winning this fight? Were you just thinking, hey, I got bumped up to the main event, because it just kind of fell through? What was your thought process going in?
No, honestly, all my friends in my corner, because as soon as I signed the contract to fight him, I had probably like 6 or 7 of my training partners in there, and they're the ones that made me believe that I was going to beat him. They were up and down saying, dude, it just made your career already. Like you're going to beat this guy. There's no way that you can lose to Kimbo. There's no way. They're like, take him down, ground and pound him. He's got no takedown defense at all. Just drive, use your takedown abilities. And I really believed that I was going to go out there and just shoot until I got him on the ground and pound him out. And that's how I was going to win. I had no doubt in my mind. I was more confident for that fight, honestly, than the fight that I had going into it, the prior fights that I had. I mean, I was very, very confident for that fight.
I remember that fight like it happened yesterday. We were down there covering
in
it.
Miami, yeah.
And I remember Mike coming over to me. I was sitting on the radio row, and he came over and kind of told me what was going on. And I'm like, really? And he goes, Randy, I'm telling you, he's going to win. And it was just an incredible night. Looking back, Seth, would you count this as a very successful career, or are there things, do you think, that were left undone?
Well, I mean, in the statement that I put on like Twitter and Facebook and whatnot, I said I have no regrets at all, and it's true. I mean, what happened. I lost fights, and I won some great fights. I definitely have no regrets in my career, but I do wish that this last fight went a little different. I didn't want my last fight to be like this. So, I mean, if I have any little bit of regret, it wasn't having this fight go a little bit better. Even when I was standing up, I felt so comfortable out there. I felt more comfortable than I ever have when I was standing up and striking. And that's why he didn't throw one punch or kick at me. I just felt so comfortable, like I was going to tag him at any point, and then all of a sudden, the one punch he does throw, I'm out cold, and it's just, I don't know, man. It was just such a weird feeling to me. It was extremely, extremely disheartening. But no, I mean, I think it was a successful career. I mean, was I a Hall of Famer? Absolutely, no, of course not. But have I been doing it for 13 years, and have I lasted a lot longer than 90% of the people that actually start fighting? Yes. Have I seen more places and traveled more places? I've been to many different shows. I've fought for the WC, King of the Cage, UFC, Pride, K1, Elite XC. There are so many organizations that I got to be a part of. It was, to me, that's successful.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the career, congratulate you on the fact that if you go and ask MMA fans, who are you entertained by? And that's what the fans want to be, is entertained. Believe me, you and Tom's name will always come up today, tomorrow, and next week.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I've always said that in an interview too. I mean, I try to stand up and bang and go for the knockout because that's what fans want to see. MMA is it's a sport, yeah, but it's an entertainment industry, and it's an entertainment sport as well. You have to be liked, and you have to be entertaining for people to pay to watch you fight, and people to pay to watch you on TV and stuff like that. So that's what I really tried to be, and luckily I get to use that, in the future. I mean, I can't say right now, and I was going to bring this up later, but I actually have a potential offer to something that's actually going to keep me on TV. So it's not a definite yet, but I'm actually doing all the steps necessary to make that happen, actually. So it looks like it might actually happen.
So we'll be able to announce that, or you'll be able to announce that back here on Knockout Radio?
I will do that for sure, yes.
There you go. Seth, thank you very much. Thank you for being part of this show from day one. We've enjoyed covering you. We've enjoyed becoming friends. And best of luck, and I'm sure I will see you in Orlando very, very soon.
Yes, for sure. And thanks for being a friend and a fan, guys. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That is Seth Petruzelli. 855-483-6646 is the number if you want to pick up the phone.
I don't want to.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
All right, we are back, and once again, Seth Petruzelli, like he said, he's gone a lot of places, he's done a lot of things, but that Kimbo fight is what he will be known for.
No, without a doubt. That's a career maker.
All right, now you called, what is this? It's the people's...
The people's finale.
The people's finale.
The people's
I keep having a brain cramp on it. So from the people's finale, I believe on the phone is one of the combatants for the upcoming Boston card, our good friend Josh Samman. Josh, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
How excited are you? You know, you texted me the other day, and it's like, yeah, this is the fight. This is the fight. It's the fight everybody's wanted. Is it the fight that you want, and how excited are you for it?
Yeah, man. I'm actually really happy to see that the people are still interested in the fight. You know, obviously, he's coming off a loss, but I went back and I've been watching that fight a lot recently. It was a very close fight. And Kelvin is a guy that beat me as well, and so it's kind of cool you guys to call it the people's finale, because that's sort of what it was, and I think that was the one that Dana was hoping for too. I got the call. Excuse me. I got the call a couple weeks ago. They were having some Social Security problems with Nick Ring. I guess Massachusetts is very strict when it comes to work visas and stuff like that. I didn't get the whole lowdown on it, but in any case, Nick Ring was not able to compete. Who was, those who didn't know, was Uriah's original opponent. So they called me, and like I said, I think there's a good chance to showcase my skills. They said it would be on the main card, so that's really exciting. I was just looking yesterday actually at all the other guys that are on the undercard, and that's when it kind of hit me. Just the gravity of the situation, how real it was, that I was fighting, fighting on a main card above a lot of these guys that I've been watching for a long time and stuff. So the whole thing is pretty surreal, and it's not even close to being over. I thought that, I indeed thought that my tough 17 experience was over, and I was just going to transition into the UFC career on my stage. But I think there's one more chapter in the book, so we're going to see about that on August 17th.
And we were talking about this, a couple months ago when we had you on the show. You picked up a win. Uriah had lost. That you were kind of in the driver's seat on how this match was going to come about. But here we are. You're stepping in for an opponent. Did it make it easier for you to kind of take a shorter notice fight just because you were so familiar with Uriah?
When the UFC calls, I can't, I've been paying attention to what's going on for a long time when it comes to UFC and fighters and stuff like that, So I think that when they call you, especially early in your career, and they ask you for a favor like this, you can only hope that that you can oblige, and hopefully they remember it at a later time in your career. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to invest on one that I may have to cash in maybe later on if I particularly want to fight. Or there's maybe I'm neck and neck with another guy on who's going to be on the main card or something like that, and hopefully they'll remember something like this. But in any case, like I said, man, I think it's a good opportunity. Both of us are coming off the Ultimate Fighter, and I think I think he has a little bit more to prove than I do. So I think he's going to be hungry. I'm sure he's training hard. But I'm training hard too, and I think we got some surprises for him.
And that's exactly what my next question was going to be is, how training camp, you get the call, you got to step right into it. How is your training camp going?
Yeah, I got the call, and it's always kind of hard rushing into a training camp. Because, we all train. in between fights and stuff. But we're not always in great shape. So this was one of those situations where I kind of had to drop everything and just live in the gym for the next 6 weeks. So that's what I've been doing. And training camp's going great. I'm up in Tallahassee right now, actually, working with my boxing coach and doing a lot of strength and conditioning up here while we're getting ready for our combat night show this Saturday up here in Tallahassee, like I said. And then shortly thereafter, I'll be heading back down to Miami and getting back in with the guys at MMA Masters, which is my home camp now. I got some great coaches over there. Caesar and Daniel are really smart guys that get the sport. So like I said, we're just taking it one step at a time and making sure I'm in the best shape possible, and that we have a game plan going in for Uriah.
I'm looking forward to the fight. I just wish there was better phone connections in Tallahassee.
Are you having a hard time hearing me?
You're in and out a little bit. We've had much worse. I have to ask you, Josh. You're training for every fight. Your next fight's the biggest one of your career. This one obviously very important on a huge card that's going to have a lot of eyes on it. How tough is it running your amateur program, your amateur shows with this fight on the books as well?
If we were just starting, such as like we were, a couple years ago, 18, 19 months ago, I think it'd be a lot more difficult. But the way we have it set up now is we have a great staff. We have we have great guys that work for us. We have a good relationship with all the fighters and the gyms and stuff, and every town we go to. So really, a lot of times, obviously there's a lot of administrative things that we have to take care of. But for the most part, the shows kind of run themselves at this point. And so Mitchell and I are left to do, focus on other things like growing the show, taking it in new areas. We're, focusing on our own career. But like I said, we're up here in Tallahassee, man. This is our biggest show that we have in Florida. I'm from Tallahassee. We just have boatloads of support from local businesses and all the fighters and fans. And everyone is really, really looking forward to the show this weekend. So we're happy about that.
Josh, will the emotions of, and dislike might not be the right word, but, there was some tension, in the house between you and Uriah. Now that it's been months, since the show aired and months since you've actually been in the house with them, will those same emotions be there on the 17th, or is it totally different now?
I think that Uriah is a much more emotional fighter than I am. When I was in the house, my MO was to make it to the finals and make it to the finals unhurt. Whereas as you saw, Uriah was, Uriah and a lot of the guys that are on the show just kind of go in there and they base what fights they want, based on who they like and dislike, and that's kind of foolish to me. And I think that that'll probably carry over into. I expect Uriah to be fired up and emotional and whatnot, but that's not really always the best strategy. I've found a lot of success. Just staying calm and keeping my emotions out of it and going out there and taking care of business. So, for me, I didn't really care. Nobody in the house really liked Uriah much anyway, so I didn't really dislike him. But he was, obviously he had something out for me. And you know what? In a month, he'll get a chance to, to do what it is he always wanted to do. Doesn't mean he's going to be able to, but that's the good thing about fighting is we'll always find out.
There's a storyline on everything. There's a storyline in this fight. We're obviously looking forward to it in Boston. Josh, as always, thank you very much. We'll get you back on just before the fight, and I will be up there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, sounds good. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Josh Samman up there in Tallahassee, very successful in and out, of the cage. He's, as we've had him on numerous times, we had him on, as everybody knows, during the whole entire tough run. We were supposed to get Daniel Vieira on to talk about the crowd, the Brazilians, how the Brazilians took the loss. Some of them were not happy there at the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
I'm sure they weren't.
There were some scuffles.
They saw their hero get laid out.
Well, and it was interesting, and it's one thing, when you win, and we've talked about this, be classy when you win, but be classy when you lose as well.
Imagine if that happened in Rio.
Oh, God. Oh, God, could you,
talk about riots.
Could you hear the chant, which sounds like something knucklehead? Could you hear that? Watching it on TV there. And again, Daniel was going to explain it, and he said it in Portuguese, which really doesn't sound anything like something knucklehead. But what they're chanting while they're fighting? You're going to die.
Oh, yeah.
That's the chant.
They've chanted that before.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Well, now that I know what it is, and as we got back into the press room, there were some scuffles out there that the Brazilians were upset, because their hero lost, and the Americans were like, hey, we beat you. So it was an interesting little run to the press room.
It's great. I'll never forget. I was in St. Louis. I mentioned I was with the Rams when Zab Judah fought Corey Spinks out there. And Corey Spinks is a hometown guy who was at the Scott Trade Center, big fight. And Judah goes in there and beats him, and that place was up for grabs afterwards. I mean, that fight ended, and there, must have been some New Yorkers, whatever, and just all of a sudden about 4 brawls break out, and it was just like, holy cow. I mean, it's nuts when people get invested in, their guy, and that's just crazy. And talk about Brazil, that story just came out of that soccer ref.
Yeah.
Who stabbed the player and then
I don't
gets
know
beheaded.
I don't know what's
right. That the ref had a knife just in case shit popped off. I mean,
or the fact that his head went on a pole.
He got quartered. He got his arms and his legs cut off, and then his head put on a pike.
Yeah, welcome to Brazil. What?
And it's not funny yet. We're all laughing.
World Cup and Olympics. Yeah, and here we are chuckling about it.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Obviously, want to thank all of our guests. Some pretty cool stuff lined up for next week, so don't go anywhere. Well, go somewhere. Just be back.
And then come back.
Hit us up at Knockout Radio.
At DCUCULICH.
At KOEGS.
Sean, KO Radio.
Everybody loves the Juicy Onion. See everybody next week.